morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening. Welcome to being here.
Yes.
I'm Ariel.
I'm Shia.
Collectively, we're the Canes.
That's correct.
And
have been for quite a long time.
yes, since 1984. Longer than some of you who are listening have been alive.
That's right. And we still like each other.
We do. Life is great.
That's amazing, isn't it?
It is.
It is.
It is. Actually, truthfully,
Yes.
I like you much more than I did back then.
Really?
Absolutely. I didn't like me so much, so you were
we
suspect.
were in lust back then.
We were in lust.
We were in lust, and that makes it difficult to truly love.
That's true. You can kind of do both. Our lust has tempered our love now, where it's a tempered lust.
Okay. This is reaching the edge of TMI.
Well, yes and no, because today's show is your foibles as your superpower. And we looked up foible because we figured a lot of people might not know that word, particularly because we have so many people in the German-speaking community.
Right.
It's
a flaw or fault, at least a perceived, and the idea that there might be, an idiosyncrasy, an eccentric behavior.
Yes. And when I was looking up foible, one of the things it said is a weak part in a sword. So in a certain respect, we've tempered our relationship.
So we have more foibles.
Well, actually, that's true. Because if you're just being you, and I'm meeting you just being you.
And if you're okay with me the way I am,
then
I'm okay the way you are, then there's nothing wrong with either of us.
Then nothing comes across as a foible. It's just, this is my moment. This is Shia. This is Ariel. Here we are.
And in this moment, Shia has forgotten to hit the timer.
That's all right. You can just start it anyway. It's the other.
Wrong mouse.
Yeah, we have multiple machines going. Let's talk about listening.
Okay, let's
talk
about listening.
Today, Shai was listening to the cat. He laid his head down and the cat came over, was snuffling his ear. She was listening to you as well. It was very sweet.
Cute cat. In any event, to truly listen requires a silence in you. Requires an allowing what somebody else has to say without filtering it through what you believe is the truth, without filtering it through your likes, dislikes, agreements, disagreements. All of that gets set aside to hear what another is saying from their point of view. Now, in fact, from their point of view, they can't be wrong about their experience. It may not fit your experience, but it won't hurt to hear theirs.
Oh, we had a fun example of that earlier. I looked across the room, and there was a little piece of
yes,
what we call tippet. It's a little piece of fly tying type material.
Monofilament.
It's clear, monofilament
is another word for tippet.
And the cat likes to play with it. I'm like, oh, look, there's a piece of tippet. And Jai says, no, it's not tippet, it's flash. And I was like,
so what is flash? Flash is a fly tying material that has glimmer to it, so it's attracting to fish. And it's used in making fishing flies.
And he picked up a piece of flash. He was, in fact, accurate. From his perspective, the light was not shining on the tippet. And I picked up the tippet and I said, tippet. And he said, flash. And it was really fun because we were looking at the same area from two different perspectives.
Points of view, right.
And things totally lit up differently.
And everything was true. It was all true. That could be a paradox.
What, it's all true?
It's all true. From your point of view, It was indeed monofilament tippet. From my point of view, it was a piece of plastic flash, holographic flash.
Our approach, in case you haven't caught on yet, or if you're new to the show, is really about noticing what is without judging what you see. Simply
in
seeing
current
it.
time, in this moment, it's not about whether you like something or dislike it. It's not about fixing anything. It's not about fixing yourself. It's not psychotherapeutic. Now, of course, there may be I remember once we were talking with a lawyer and he was telling us what we couldn't say. And he said, well, do you think walking through a garden could be therapeutic? And I said, sure. And he said, well, see, a judge would say that you're practicing therapy if you take people through your garden. So our approach is not psychotherapeutic, and you may get some therapeutic
value.
Exactly. Thank you. Did she say we finish each other? I
did.
Okay, good. Then we're on.
Hey, how about we take our first guest?
Absolutely.
All
love
right.
to.
Miss Micah, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi. Hello. I'm Micah from Hamburg.
Hello.
Hamburg, Pennsylvania?
Not Hamburg, Pennsylvania, Hamburg in North Germany.
Oh, that Hamburg. Because, about 50 miles from our house is in Pennsylvania, there's a town called Hamburg, Pennsylvania.
But truthfully, we see that many folks in Hamburg, Germany, far more often than we see anybody from Hamburg, Pennsylvania.
Except
yes?
Our friend Julie grew
originally
up in Hamburg, Pennsylvania.
So see, amazing. We have friends from Hamburg from both sides of the ocean.
Oh, right. Yeah, I just listened to you when you were speaking. I was caught what you said about the looking at one thing and seeing it from two sides, and that just reminded me of a book I'm reading at the moment where there's a marriage between a man and a woman, and this book is from the man's point of view, and then there's a second book and it's the same dialogues and everything, but the thoughts in between are from the women's side. So, but they are not that gentle with each other.
I figured that.
It's like they see the same thing and they speak, but it's not like you just said. They just accept that there's two different points of view, and I think that's a dramatic difference between having a good marriage or a relationship or having a fighting one, because they are fighting a lot about this thing, the same thing.
Right. Well, if you're fighting, then everything becomes fodder, becomes fuel for the fight. If you're not fighting, then there's nothing to fight over. Then there's just different points of view.
But as we often say, the fight begins in you when you're feeling stirred up or off center. Then anybody you relate to, you'll probably
find fault with.
Yeah.
But when you're well in yourself, then everything is good.
Right.
Yeah.
It took me a hard time to read the book, actually. I just could almost not stand it, how much they were fighting. But I was just reminded by that when you were speaking of it.
What you're talking about is normal.
Well, you're just discovering that you've morphed or transformed, so that way of relating where one person's right about their perspective and the other person is right and that's it, is no longer normal for you.
See, and if you live in the first reality, that where somebody else is causing you upset is the reason why you feel bad, then that's a normal reality. But the transformational reality isn't normal. It might be a natural way we are, but we've been raised in cultures that have been fighting since the beginning of time. You
Yeah.
know, I remember seeing on National Geographic a war between uh, baboons, a type of monkey,
Mm-hmm.
that they fought for territory. Well, humanity's been the same way. We've been fighting forever. But, you know, it is possible to discover well-being and peace, and that you don't need to be right in order to have a happy life.
Yeah.
In fact, being right is usually the cause of most people's pain in life.
Yeah, I see that very often, and I that actually leads to what I thought could be my foible. Because when I read the title of this, let's say, session, I looked up the word foible as well because I wasn't sure if it's like a mistake or a weakness or something. So I looked it up, and I was actually thinking, what do I think? What are my foibles? And it kind of like came back to the point that I don't speak up. That's what I think is my foible, and that leads to different results. Like I sometimes ask myself, do I not speak up because I kind of like want harmony, or I don't want to be dominating or something. So or sometimes I just don't have an opinion. I have no pressure to speak up or say anything, but yes.
What I find interesting about what you're saying is you've been raised in a culture that has a lot of problems with the rules, and yet it's a very rule-bound culture.
Mm.
And so you, the person you, the Micah person, has internally a set of standards and rules that she's constantly comparing her life in this moment and how she's going about it to what is the right way, according to the rules, to be. And there's no peace in that. See, we've met a lot of people over time, and as we speak, I see this fellow that we met several years ago, and he had foibles. He labeled himself as somebody with something called Asperger's disease, which is on the
Autism spectrum.
autistic scale, you know.
Mm.
And this fellow has been working with us for several years, and he is now no longer what he called himself. He's a normal person. He got into the current moment of his life, and life became easy rather than constantly trying to figure out how to represent himself into the world, how to be. I
Yeah.
like your smile when I said that. You know, these
Yeah.
Zoom videos are great because you can see how what I say gets through to you by how your face, how the muscles rearrange themselves.
Yeah, when you say represent myself, I felt something happening in me there's something really strong in me watching myself and maybe forbidding or not allowing myself to speak up. Or you also mentioned that foibles could be something like an extra or an eccentric um,
Habit, way of being.
voila. And I thought my foible is that I'm not allowing myself to be eccentric. So my foible is the opposite of being eccentric. It's like calming me, not allowing me to be fully there. And it's interesting, yeah.
Well, I think here's the thing. A lot of our decisions about who we are and how we are came about at an early age. And we're not that early age anymore.
Hmm.
You know, you said to yourself, I can't speak, I can't say anything, I don't want the attention turning on me.
Or I don't want to be like, when we're kids, we self-identify generally within the family unit that we're in first. So you may look at your mother and say, oh man, she's too loud. I don't want to be like that. Or you see aspects of your sister and you want to define yourself as an individual. So if there's something you identify as one of your sister's traits, in an immature mind, generally we resolve to do the opposite. So when you're talking about your foibles, you're talking about that self-editing that pings out and looks how you should be and comes back and corrects how you're being. What's interesting though, Micah, is you are now saying my foible is, so it's basically you've got a label. So we could like send you a postcard to my foible at your address and it would get you. But interestingly enough, here you are on this podcast without reservation, identifying how you hold back, talking about it. So there are moments when you are fully self-expressive, but it doesn't fit the story that you hold back. So you won't register those times.
See, the story that you've told yourself that you hold back, you don't see all the times you don't hold back because you still have that story, oh, I hold back. But in this conversation, you've been very participatory.
Oh yeah, that sounds like something very true. I look at the situations where I find myself very quiet and not at the other ones.
Well, yes, but sometimes it's appropriate to be quiet.
Like sometimes I've seen you in team meetings or on Living Made Easy seminars, and you're not pressing to speak when you perceive that there are other people that have something that is more ripe to talk about. And that's really gracious of you.
Oh.
See, I've never seen you be inappropriate, and I've known you for several years now. And if you were being inappropriate, I would notice it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's like, what if you're doing your life and being in a way that's perfect, and your internal conversation is telling you how to be, and you're already being that way. You're being fine.
And having that internal conversation is also perfect because you can't not have it when you have it. So that would make it perfect.
That's so simple. That's cool.
It is so simple and it is true. And both those things are congruent. They fit together. Simple and true work well. Complex and dramatic or convoluted or untrue doesn't work well together. It's called a temper tantrum. Schmullen in German.
Yeah, I know that word. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Really a
pleasure
treat being with you today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Hey, you want to hear about transformation?
Mm-hmm.
We've got one of our listeners about to tell you about what's happened in their life out of listening to being here.
This is Val in Montclair, New Jersey. And my whole life, I had a picture of what the guy I would end up with looked like, what he liked, what he didn't like, his background. My husband is not anything near that picture, and I am so grateful. I've been taking seminars with Ariel and Shaya, and one of the most amazing things I've discovered is that I can be in love with this person and appreciate and enjoy this person who is so different from me and whose background is so different from me. And sometimes I have the thoughts that, wow, he didn't grow up with that, or tea and classical music and things that I grew up with. but he'll tell me, well, you didn't grow up milking cows every day. And it's just such a beautiful, fun experience to learn about his life and discover him newly every day.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shire's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
We have some upcoming virtual seminars, Living Made Easy, this Saturday, the 6th, Monday, the 8th, and then the Tuesday evening one for those in the European community. We have a Tuesday evening that's bilingual once a month.
That would be March 9th.
Yes. Speaking of which, we have 2 bilingual longer courses, The Freedom to Breathe on Friday, the 16th of April. And then Celebrating the Unexpected.
On April 17th and 18th.
You know, last year around this time, we were getting ready to do the wealth seminar. And we had just heard really about COVID. And we felt it was safe to have the course, but we instituted something that was really strange.
For us, especially.
No hugging, no touching. Nobody could greet each other by giving a hug or
a
shaking
handshake.
hands. It was a huge cultural shift for us.
Because the culture that we created, people were very free to hug each other and hold hands and be close together.
I was speaking with Lenore about it just the other day, our friend Lenore, and we were saying how great it was that we challenged ourselves to do something like be separate when we had no proof yet that it was a good idea.
Right.
Because there were 3 individuals
in that course that developed COVID
within the next week or so. And that could have been rampant. And
It
all
could
of
have.
them are doing well now. But so there's something about celebrating the unexpected rather than dragging your feet through life. Anyway, if you want to know about those courses, you can visit our website.
transformationmadeeasy.com.
And
It really is easy. That's why we gave it that website.
Transformation Made Easy.
Yes, because transformation is easy if you know how.
Now,
Yep.
we have Living Made Easy on demand subscription program that we just rebooted, reimagined, launched just a couple of days ago. So if you want to get videos of conversations we're having with folks, special articles, special videos from us, a platform where you can write questions, it's the place to go. Go to transformationmadeeasy.com and you can get all the details.
Yes.
All right, well, one last thing before we call in our guest. Shout out to our friend Diane in New York. Your last name, Diane, starts with a P. You know who you are. You say that it's challenging for you with work to come to the evenings, but you said that these podcasts are really a lifesaver for you. So we're just giving you a shout out, saying,
Yeah. Hey.
Hey. All right,
hey.
let's take.
You know.
Yes.
Well, we could take our next guest, and it may still apply what I thought to say.
Okay.
Hey there.
Hi, Ariel. Hi, Shaya.
Hi.
I'm Renate from Bieserach in Switzerland.
Bieserach
in Switzerland.
Yes.
What
Excellent.
did you want to say to us?
Well, what I was thinking when I said transformation is easy, it is if you know the way. And Ariel and I, over several, what do you call it?
Decades,
that's the word I wanted exactly, have discovered the way to the moment and how it can be easy. I personally tie fishing flies. I use materials like thread and fur and feathers. And I construct out of that something that looks enough like an insect to get a trout to eat it, or enough like a little fish to get some other variety of fish to eat them. If you don't know how to do it, you'd have a hard time discovering how to create a reasonable facsimile
Of a bug or
of
a
an
fish.
insect or a fish out of those materials. But if you learn how to do it by taking classes, as I have, then you can become expert at it, and it's simple and easy, and it's nothing to fret over. People fret over enlightenment like it's a difficult achievement. It's not. It's easy. All it takes is being here. And since you're already here, you've got most of it won already. You just have to learn how to direct yourself into the current moment, or not direct yourself is the wrong word. Allow yourself to fall into the current moment rather than direct yourself, because you always direct yourself into life. And that makes life difficult, because your internal conversation that directs you isn't you.
I know you have a question for us, but I have a question for you first. I know you recently got your master's. What did you get a master's in?
I got a master's in science of nursing.
So I have a question about the process for that. I know you had to write a dissertation. There were tests and classes. And did you find the technology, if you will, of being in the moment a good support system for your studies?
Oh, yes. For sure. It's like in all parts. It's like being there in classes when we still could go there, that really listen to the person who's talking in front of the group, or listen to my colleagues. Also, when we did it online, in the end, we had like online classes to really be there. And also for me, like in the times where I was studying for myself, I really learned a lot from transformation, how to study for myself, how to get the most out of this time, how to be nice to myself, because like sometimes I also worked part-time during my studies. So sometimes I had days where I knew I want to study, but first I needed some rest, and I discovered I need the rest first and then I'm productive again to go for my studies. So the whole transformation approach really supported me in the whole process.
You could consider needing rest a foible of yours. You know, in your mind, you had the idea that a good Renat should be able to be on track, be at work, do, and then just switch gears and get in there and study. But you personally needed rest. And the more you embraced you being you, the more that was your springboard into your superpower of being you.
Well, you know, as you say that, I realized I had foibles as a younger man. I probably still have some foibles from other people's points of view, but one of the foibles was I couldn't speak in public. And I've been noticing that as I speak to you, I don't think about what I have to say. It just comes on its own because it wants to be said. And I don't have to worry about doing it right or wrong, because I can only do it and express myself the way I do in this moment. So you are in this moment perfect. You can't do it wrong. There's no need to put pressure on yourself to produce anything, because out of the genius that you are, you will produce genius just by being you.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And it's so cool that we just spoke about resting, because from one friend from our community, I know through transformation, he spoke about sleep is your superpower. He saw a YouTube video and this really impressed me. So I always said, if I need sleep, sleep is your superpower. So I took the sleep. So that's cool.
That's great.
Yeah. And it's so cool that you just said that one of your foible was like speaking in front of people, because when I read the title, my first thought was like, my foible is sometimes I get really fast red in my face when I speak. Just sometimes at work when I say something and I consider it a big foible of myself. And then I read in the description that a foible can be your superpower. So I got really interested how this foible could be my superpower. I don't know really the answer on this yet, but it's kind of cool discovery that this can be one of my superpowers.
Are you talking about
Blushing.
blushing?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Well, it is very charming, you see.
When you
It's
blush, it's
disarming.
disarming to us.
It's something that we fall in love with. So it's not a fault. It's a benefit. It's like your blushing is an innocence. It's a lovely event that's taking place in front of us.
And for me, it invites my innocence.
And it invites compassion.
Now, mind you, that probably wasn't your experience as a child. Kids tend to be pretty insecure.
And
then
other kids tend to be pretty brutal.
So if I'm an insecure kid and I see you blushing, I would perhaps make fun of it so that I didn't experience my own insecurities. But in these days, there's something just so lovely about seeing somebody who has that blush of innocence.
Thanks for sharing that. That's really, yeah, that's nice. Thank you.
The other thing is very funny that you blush because you can tell the naughtiest jokes
of almost anybody we know.
with the sweetest delivery system.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
We'll have to have a conversation again soon to ask
See if you have any
good
ones.
jokes.
The old ones keep on coming, but that's, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
When you know, when you, I can't recall it now, but you sweetly told us some naughty joke while my mom was still alive, and I told that joke to her. She laughed so hard, I thought she was going to give herself a heart attack. It was one of the funniest moments toward the end of her life that she had. It was just so delightful.
So your joke was just such a gift to her.
Oh, nice. Thank you. Yeah.
I don't even remember what it was now. I just remember feeling very grateful to you.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. You know, our president just said, Joe Biden just said that all the angels in heaven are male and female nurses.
Wow.
He's had such a lovely relationship with nurses who helped him when family members of his were ill and dying. And so I think you fit the mold. You're here on Earth.
That's right. You're our own
angel on Earth.
That's right. I happen to live in Switzerland.
Thank God for Zoom. And we can even say that word now.
That's right.
Yeah.
I've got going now.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for being with us, and thanks for being with us all. What a treat.
Thank
Oh, wow. Hey, if you want to be like Renat and be a guest or submit a listener spotlight, like you heard in the middle of the show, you can do that. Just go to transformationmadeeasy.com/being here and find out how. Ready for next week's episode?
I am so ready.
The urgency of now.
That's right.
Oh, excellent. Well, we'll be back next week.
So come on back.
Don't miss
Being here.